Hello, and welcome back to the PhD Journey Unplugged podcast. I am Dr. Marilyn Ward, and I'm met with my friend, colleague, Dr. Sarah Gordon. We are both researchers, health professional leaders, and motivators. So we are coming to you today to share with you some fabulous information. Dr. Gordon, what are we talking about today?
Sure. So we deliberated a little bit about today's episode. We have it titled The Gift of Time. And then I had this moment, well, is it time management? And then we thought, okay, maybe it's about time management, being PhD, going through the PhD journey. And then I thought, and I said to you, Marilyn, like, that's really not what I think it is about. And hoping that this resonates with our listeners today. It's not really going to be a conversation about productivity, about managing your time.
Right.
It's really about living your time with meaningful and purposeful intention. And it's a mind shift because every week this podcast is about trying to live healthy lives. And
Yeah.
there's a lot, and we've touched on time management in the past, and there's lots of time management strategies to be more productive, to manage all the things we have going on in our lives. But do we really ever have a conversation with ourselves and with each other about, all right, let's look at time as a gift. Let's look at it
Yeah.
as a precious commodity. Let's shift to a powerful, intentional, and meaningful mind shift. And that's really, as we settle into this conversation today, that's kind of the conversation, and we kind of focus and slow down ourselves. That's kind of where I thought maybe this would be a good conversation to take and to have today. What do you think?
I think so. I think if we stop looking at time as, we're rushing and we're running out of time. So how do we look at that time better? And that's why I was looking down at my phone. I was trying to get I had found something that was really, really unique about, time. So it's called Spending Time, the Most Valuable Resource by Daniel, Hammermesh from the Oxford University Press. But he stated that time is the ultimate scarce resource. So I think if we look at it, so that's why when we say the gift of time, it is a scarce resource. So if we take it from I think time management, I'm almost like it's like a negative connotation with it. But when you say the gift of time, it's like positive, right? And we're always trying
Right.
to make that shift from negative to positive. So that statement just was like, I get it. I like that.
And it almost gives you permission to say, okay, let me slow down a little bit in my life. My day doesn't have to be packed, and
Right.
stacked with things all day. And I like this, like this thought, like it reframes the conversation from
Yeah.
productivity. We all know we live in a society and a culture focused on productivity.
Yeah.
So we know that's important in being successful and to
Sure.
accomplish goals. But what about optimizing presence,
Yeah.
value, purpose? And just slowing down to have a little bit of a different mind shift perspective. And what I'm thinking about when I am focusing on the gift of time is that that can be connected to health and wellness.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
that we need to go faster, do more. I mean, I'm
Right.
not saying we shouldn't be productive. I just think to allow ourselves the gift of time, it's a different feeling, and it can reduce stress, and it can build more health and wellness into your life. And we both know in the PhD journey it was productivity, but at some point our health suffered because of that.
Oh, for sure. And it kind of so when I looked further down in this paper, this book, the next thing, and it kind of fits right here, he said, our time is limited by the number of hours in the days in the year, and years in our lives, which means that we face these constraints, thus having to make choices that involve trade-offs. So, right,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
so I was like, oh my gosh, it was mind blowing because I'm thinking, I've never really looked at it as a trade-off. I'm just like, but when you say it like, well, I only could give Saturdays to my family. So I was trading off my family so I could to do the degree. And I'm just like, oh, when you look at it like that, it was, so I think if we can shift it where we appreciate the time that we have, but prioritize it to where we still, you're getting your job done, right? We're getting the stuff done, but we're still going to enjoy life at the same time.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a balance. We've talked about, we always say every week we try to build on the weeks before. So if you haven't listened to our episode on finding balance, it is finding balance. I think this is a key point. I love this quote that I read. It is less about doing more and more about being mindful with the time you're given.
Yeah.
So it just takes slowing down just a little bit. And one of the strategies, and I just mention it now because I feel like it fits, is, looking at your calendar. Does your calendar reflect the life that you want to be living? Is it
Right. It's
just
that
filled with,
quality, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
oh, that's okay.
Quality versus quantity, right? So the quality time, as opposed to quantity. I'm like, I got 2 hours, but what are you doing in those 2 hours? Is it giving you back purpose? Is it giving you, so when you're looking at that calendar and you've got everything blocked out, what is that? What is,
Right,
what's in that? What's in those hours? What's in that
right,
space?
right. Does it reflect things that you're passionate about and that you enjoy in your life? You
Right.
know, we tend to, well, in all transparency, and Marilyn knows I've been in a hospital all week with my mom. I've had a lot of time to think about time in there. And I've been seeing a lot of sick people in there.
Yeah.
And, we have one shot at this,
Right. One life.
right? We get to make the decisions on how to take, you've said this in past episodes, on how to take care of our bodies. We have one body. We have one
One
life,
body.
one body. And, you know, we get to make those decisions on
Right.
how to live our lives. The thing, I think the key point in this conversation today is a little, like I said, a little bit of a mind shift on it's okay to take a pause, slow down and think about, how do you build some things into your calendar and into your life that you really enjoy doing. Even if it's 10 or 15 minutes here or there, you
Right.
know.
And I want to say, like, it's like going on that vacation. How many times are you going to put it off? I don't have the time right now. I don't have the time. All of a sudden, boom, you know, maybe you can't do that trip now because you're old and frail.
Exactly. I think
So
that's
it,
exactly the point. And that whole mindset of one day I'm going to do this, or
yeah.
next year I'm going to do this, or
Right.
I just
Or
think
even,
maybe, being in the hospital this week was like exactly where I needed to be for this podcast today because, there's no guarantees.
right. Life is short. I just had a classmate only back in high school. She's a year younger than me, but just passed away. And I'm like, she's only 48. And I'm like, what? That's where my mind goes to. Do it now. Everything I want to do it now because life is too short. Don't take it for granted. That gift of time, we need to snatch it up and take it, open it, and do whatever it is that we have always wanted to do because tomorrow's
Yeah.
not coming.
No, and it's really I mean, I hate to keep coming back to that, but it's all about balance. I mean, we want to be productive. We want
Right.
to live, successful lives.
We're not telling you to quit your job.
No, and goal setting is fun.
Right.
It's just that there's also, I guess it's kind of like, are you busy because you're just busy, or is there intention in that busyness? I guess that's one of the keys, like
That's
to just
good.
ask yourself that, maybe listening to our podcast right now, just pause for a second, pause the podcast for a second, ask yourself, are you busy right now, today, because you love what you're doing in that busyness, or are you just busy?
Right. That's an excellent point. It like prioritizing, right? We got to
Mhm.
prioritize the life. So, because we'll say busy work, busy work, cleaning my desk. That's, busy work. But what is that doing? What is that busy work doing for you? Or right? Is it bringing you enjoyment or does it just make you feel busy? So
Mhm.
I definitely think we need to prioritize our time and to where there is a balance of yes, of course we have to go to work, we have to, get those things done, but it doesn't, but you also need to put that time in there. I call it me time. So like nobody mess with me in the morning. I'm going to the gym. I come back and take the dog for a walk. That's my me time. And I prioritize it into my day. And I think a lot of, maybe other people struggle with that, trying to figure out that time. And my time doesn't have to be your time. It can be a time, whatever. It's got to fit right into your day, but you somehow have to find that time. And maybe it's taking out that hour of watching TV at night. Because what is that doing for you or your health? What is that doing towards your goal? So take an inventory. I'm always talking about taking inventory of yourself and finding where you can tweak it to make sure you're getting that fulfillment, true fulfillment.
Absolutely. And our podcast, we when we came up with the vision for it, it's based on our PhD journey, but we're both health promotion leaders. And
Yes.
so we're always going to encourage our listeners to take actions to improve your health and well-being. And so, we've talked about different strategies in terms of physical activity, the importance of physical activity. Last week we had on our colleague, Dr. Benavides. He talked about how important physical activity is with the children that he's working with. We've talked about it in terms of, aging and longevity. We've talked about mental health, physical health. We're not nutritionists, but we all know that nutrition is an essential part of healthy living. And so today we're saying time, giving yourself time. And Dr. Ward does these great, if you don't follow her on social media, you can find her on No Excuses LLC or Dr. Marilyn Ward. She does these great videos, just some, tips on good, nutrition and health and wellness. And I've been watching them recently and I've been thinking, I'm so envious of how you have planned, to have the time to make these delicious looking juices and whatnot.
Oh, so good.
And honestly, it's not, I think it comes down to time and making that a priority and going to get the ingredients and, looking at a recipe or experimenting with different recipes and just giving yourself the time to nourish
Right.
your body. And so you've really been influencing me. I meant to tell you that. Like, I
Thanks.
want to slow down and do what you're doing.
Well, I definitely feel like it's a part of everything that I share. It's because I need it too. So luckily, I'm getting the same benefit, but I'm usually talking to myself, quite honestly. And I needed to cleanse. I went to Maine. We ate so much food and fun little cocktails. So I came back. I was like, oh, I think I need to cleanse. So really, what I share is that. But I think when I want to value my body or value myself, and so I put myself at a high, at the top of my priority list. It's my life. I always say this is my life too. Yes, I love everybody else. I don't think it's selfish for you to sit there and say this is my life, and because yes, it is easy to go drive through a fast food place and go get something to eat, but I'm like, ugh, what, I don't want that a dollar burger. Like that's I'm better than that. I want the good stuff. So yes, I have to go to the store and buy all the different produce,
It takes
go
time,
home, blend it. It's time, but I'm like that
mindful time, but mindfulness time.
mindful and invaluable time because I know that small time that it had taken me to go get the stuff and make it, it's going to do a long-term effects on my body. So
Yeah, and
that small time equals
well,
long time.
and
I don't know.
and I'll be honest with you, being in the hospital this week with my mom and going down to the cafeteria. Now, this is a hospital, lots of fried options.
Isn't that
And
crazy? It's
and when you're,
crazy.
and one day I was tired and I grabbed, the chicken
Of
tenders.
course.
because I hadn't eaten all day and I was exhausted. And then, I came home and I saw one of your posts with your delicious watermelon juice
Oh, so good.
and the green juice. And I thought, I woke up the next morning and Sarah, slow down. There are options in there. Fatigue sometimes, robs you of those good decisions for yourself.
Yeah.
So I wanted to thank you because I saw that in there and it helped me slow down. Yep. It really did. It really had an impact on me. But if we rush through life, whatever you're dealing with in your life, we all have different circumstances today, right
Right.
now. But if you're rushing through life, it kind of robs you of depth and meaning in your life and taking good care of yourself. And also having, like we talked about last week, having, positive social connections with people. So it impacts your social, emotional health, your mental health, your physical health. So if you can look at time, I guess what the message today that we're trying to focus on is if you can shift from time being a product of time management and how much more you can fit in your day, and okay,
Yeah.
that's great. But if you are you building in moments to take care of yourself and your health and your well-being?
Right. I think absolutely, because it all comes back to, purpose. Like what are we doing? We are like the gentleman said in that book or journal, that we only have a certain amount of hours in the day. So what are you doing with those? I used to say with my clients, I'm like, there's 100 and I don't know, whatever, 60 some hours in a week. I get you for two. I get you for 2 hours as a trainer, like Tuesday, Thursday, 1 hour. So, but they'll say, well, I'm not losing weight. Well, I'm like, you can't blame that on me. I get you for 2 hours. What are you doing with the rest of that time? So if we look at it from that standpoint, it's like, all right, we all have the same amount of hours in the day. You don't get more than me, I don't get more than you. So what are we doing with those hours? And that
It's
brings
so true. And it's so true. And, I feel like the people that get it the most are the people that realize, maybe they find out they have not so much time. And I guess what we're trying to say to people like today is you don't want to get to that point.
no, there's a
Just start
song,
right
right?
now listening to our podcast.
There's a song with by Tim McGraw that talks about it. I don't know the name of the song, but I just remember like he's dying, right? He's dying, and all of a sudden now he's like, I'm gonna go fishing with my dad, and I'm gonna go skydiving, and I'm like, oh, why do we wait?
Why do
Why?
we wait?
Right.
Because in this podcast, we're saying to our listeners, start to look at time as a precious commodity.
Yes.
It's not a bad thing to manage your time because I personally love to be organized and
Yes.
I function better with structure, discipline, and organization. But, as long as you're intentional and living purposeful, feel like feel comfortable with where you're at. If you're not, maybe this is just something you can look at. I mean, there's lots of factors that kind of make us, you
Oh,
know,
sure.
live high quality, healthy lives, but maybe time is one, part of all that.
Yeah, I
And I
think
like
like,
your, go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead. Sorry, we're like, we've got so many great ideas, and we just want
We
to get
do.
them out.
And I said to Marilyn before, I was like, I'm running on fumes right now. Just help me through today.
You're doing great. Like you got
Yeah, yeah.
you're
Well,
good.
thank you.
It's adrenaline. We got dopamine pumping in our.
Life is about, we always say, to be successful, you have to be adaptable. We
Yes,
don't get to control certain things. I mean, we
right.
get to control how we react to them, but all the other
Yep.
stuff going on, you
You're
know.
doing great. You're doing great. Yeah, I
All
was
right,
just
go
gonna
ahead.
say, like, putting it like in perspective, like with your wellness. Look at how many times we say, I'm gonna start my diet on Monday. Well, then Monday comes, whatever. I'm gonna start my diet because nobody wants to start a diet on a Wednesday. Nobody wants to start a routine on the middle of the month. But if you wait until, Monday comes and something happens, that day will go day after day, month
Why do
after
we do that? Why do
month.
we do that as humans?
I will have to say, this is so great. I don't, my ex-husband, we're still great friends. We were sitting one day at a restaurant eating, and we could hear the table behind us, and these two women were like, of course, we're at a restaurant that's not known to be healthy. And she's like, well, I'm going to start my diet next week. That's kind of what triggered me to say this today. And my ex-husband, he was like, I don't know why she just doesn't start tomorrow. He goes, why do you women do that? And I'm
How
like,
about today?
well, yeah. And he was like, yeah, today or tomorrow. But I'm like, it was so profound. This is before we were both still active duty. So it was before I was in my wellness journey, or coaching, but I've hung on to it. This is like fast forward 20 years. So it was really powerful for me.
No, it's so true. And I just want to say to our listeners, Marilyn, when you move away from the camera a little bit, it's muffled. And she ordered all the new, we're moving towards the upgrade in our technology with the new microphones and the equipment, and we're still learning how to like get that to work today. So we're getting there.
Super fun.
Yes.
Probably because
But
I have my volume turned all the way up.
and I do, and the other thing to let our listeners know is I think I was the freezing problem. So I went into Zoom, turned off a bunch of things, clicked on a bunch of things, and we haven't frozen today. So I apologize to you because I think that was on my system. But we're
I
learning.
have a new light. I have a new light. Do I
Got
look
new
okay?
lights. I mean, we're learning and we're having fun and we really love having this platform and
Yes.
um, we hope that our listeners, are enjoying it too. Please comment if you are. We would love to hear from you. And
Yes.
if
And let us
we could
know.
do better, please let
Right. If
us
you're a
know
techie
too.
person out there, if you're tech savvy, please let us
Please
know.
help us. Reach out to us. But to get back on topic, I like this quote too, living in alignment with what matters for you. And I think that's what we're trying to say is that, when you look at your calendar or you look at your life and your day, are there moments in it that are in alignment with what matters to you most? And if they're
Yeah.
not, you know, maybe try to figure out how to get that back into to your life in some way.
There's there's nothing wrong with like being adaptable and changing. If it's not working, you know, change it, do something different. I mean, there's so much research on this topic about time and how valuable time is. So it was saying like uh just going on Google Scholar, and they're talking about how research suggests that prioritizing time over money leads to greater happiness and well-being, because you've taken the focus off of money, right? Like everybody's so driven by money and money hungry. And I'm not saying that to be rude or negative, but if we just start looking at um what the time how it's going to bring us happiness instead of, because money, if you're happy, the rest is going to come. If you're making it for your purpose, you're doing your purpose, it's bringing you joy, you're helping others, or whatever your case is, all the rest will fall into place.
So you're 100% right. And I guess, just to let our listeners know a little bit behind the scenes, Marilyn and I talk about the episodes and what we want to talk about, but we kind of do our own research and we bring it to the recordings. Right now, they're not live. One point in the future, we might be doing live recording, live episodes. But we like the genuine kind of spontaneous conversations that we have with each other. But the reason I say that, because we didn't talk about this specifically, I have right here, refocus your thinking from time is money to time is sacred. And that's exactly what
Oh.
you're talking about. And we do that. We don't
Yeah.
plan it, but we do that.
So that's,
That's
yes,
right,
we're
exactly what
both
you're saying.
researchers. So
Yes.
we but I'm glad that, but it's awesome that we both found the same,
But
research just worded different, because, you know,
yes, it's exactly
the
what you're
research is
saying.
there. So if you go and you research, it's there. It's not like, like we're just, hyping you up. There's statistical research on this topic. And that's why we know how important it is. And to share it in a light, fun way, like we're doing on the podcast,
Yeah.
which I think makes it ease the tension of it, I guess. Yeah.
Well, and then the other thing is, and I thought this was kind of funny because in our what do you call it? Like our logo, one of our logos or our thumbnails for our podcast, we have health, hustle, and human performance. And I always I said to you the other day, like, What do you think about that word hustle? And you know what? Hustling is okay. I mean, we hustle, we want to be successful. We hustle to get through, I mean, not that hustle necessarily means fast pace, but we worked hard to get our doctorates. So we're not saying, and I thought this was good to mention this because we're not saying not to hustle. We're not saying
Right.
to go out and crush life and do the best you can do in your life.
Right.
We're just saying to have some meaning and purpose in it. And you were kind of just
Right.
saying that too. So I had
Yeah.
that down too.
Oh, yay. See, great minds think alike. Great minds think alike. Because we really don't, it's not like we chit chat a little bit about this, but
Not much.
not a lot, not a lot of the fine details, that we talk about, but because we're like-minded professional health leaders and motivators, I think, and research, we connect that way, and we are trying to get across the same message, and it does it flows so beautifully, and it kind of and it interweaves, which is great because I think that helps get that message across. I don't know, in such a great way. I was listening to our podcast on my bike ride, and I'm like, you know what? This is great. This is great. That's my opinion. My
If
opinion.
nothing more, we're having a great time.
Yeah, I mean, I might be a little biased, but
I know I listened to all the episodes too, over and over, and I'm like, okay, stop saying ums. Okay, make sure you don't interrupt. I mean, they're all the little things we can learn as we get better at it, but we're having fun with it. I wanted to say this, because this is so true. One of our classmates who is going to come on, I reached out to him, and he is a ER physician. He does definitely wants to come on our show, but he was so instrumental in helping me get through school too. He was, a little bit ahead of me emotionally and mentally tough. And I, a couple times, like, I can't get through it, and you're gonna get through it. But he used to say to me, and this is so true, and I wrote this down, stay present where your feet are.
oh, well,
Because a
that's
lot of times we think, one day we're going to do this, or I wish I
good.
can do this, or next year I'm going to do this, or this is going to be this way a week from now, or a year from now, or why isn't everything going the way I want it to,
Right.
at this moment in your life? And if you just stop and you just think about, like, okay, put your feet, do this, pause our episode, put your feet on the ground and think about you're right here, right now in your life.
Yeah.
And how can you start to build these things to have better health
Yeah.
and well-being in your life? Physical activity, nutrition, emotional, mental, social, all this kind of stuff we talk about every week.
Yeah, because you can't think about the past because the past is past, can't change it. We don't
Right.
know what the future is going to bring. So why don't we focus on the now? And funny story. So I was a lifestyle manager at a retirement community, and my staff, she used to go out with the residents on the outings. And it takes a lot of planning to do these outings, right? And as soon as they get out there, instead of enjoying the moment, like, oh, this is beautiful, they're at the gardens and they're looking, well, what are we going to do next time? Where are we going now? What are we going to? And she finally had to say, you know what? Enjoy the moment. Like,
Enjoy the
enjoy
moment.
the moment now. We'll discuss what we're doing next week at the meeting. So, like, enjoy the moment. So that's great. I love that.
Yeah.
Said that.
The illusion of one day or someday takes you away from appreciating the moment you're given.
Yes. Ah,
Pretty true,
so
right?
good.
We just need to
So
remind each other. And that's what, now we have this episode, and listen to it as many times you need to. I mean, I'm listening to our podcast episodes for myself to remind back today, I asked for help.
yeah, see, and it's so
I was like,
we're
we
so
tell people
scared,
ask for help all the time. I said
right?
to the lady at the hospital, I need some help.
And there's nothing wrong, right?
There's
And how did
nothing
it
wrong with
feel?
it.
Felt empowering, right? It was like
Hmm.
it feels empowering, and it feels like a sense of release, or
Yeah.
relief all at the same time. Because now you're
Yes.
like a load has been lifted, and you felt empowered to ask. Yeah, and just like Dr. Benavides said, if you don't ask, you don't know the answer. So,
Right.
right, you have to. The answer is always going to be no if you don't ask.
Yeah, and if you're listening today and you did not listen to that episode. It's last week, episode 8, and it was just, I felt like we were listening to somebody who's just such a rock star getting
Right?
started out on his platform
Yeah.
and just doing such meaningful work in the Rio Grande Valley in southern Texas, working with kids and consulting with educators and how to build physical activity earlier, in children's lives. So it was a great. I really enjoyed it.
That's right.
We're going to have more guests. We have one scheduled in a couple of weeks. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. You mentioned something too about like looking back, and it's so funny because we did not talk about these bullet points. And I have, it's all about being present and being mindful with your time. And
Yeah.
maybe our listeners, maybe you've heard this before, but it's a good reminder. Depression seems to rear its ugly head when we look back, when we stay in the
Yeah.
past, right? It
Yeah.
can it can be happy thoughts too, but if you're carrying, trauma or, things that you have not emotionally healed from the past, it can tend to manifest itself as depression.
Yeah. I always say the devil's trying to steal your joy.
Right. If
Yeah.
you're constantly looking forward and worrying about something in the future, then anxiety seems to emerge from that constant, I'm not trying to say that having plans and thinking about, future goals and whatnot, but if you're worrying about it, tends
Right.
to create anxiety.
Right.
But staying present right here where your feet are right here today and taking an assessment of what's going on in this moment, it's a much more peaceful way to live
Yes.
in my experience for myself.
Oh, 100%. And I've heard it so many times about, there's funny little memes about looking back and looking forward. And right, and like you said, and which I totally agree, it's not like you were saying don't you got you do when you're writing goals they are future most likely so
Absolutely.
you want to I think focus on the goals but in a sense of positivity where you're like this is where
Right.
I'm trying to get but if it's if it's bringing you worry and not that's why we say baby steps one step at a time to get there we know what the
Yes.
big end picture is but it's what you're doing right now in this moment that's going to get you you know to the big to the end to what it is to you to the future but it's yeah but it's what we're doing right now that's real pivotal.
Yeah, and you know it takes habit changing,
Yeah.
and that's hard. I mean, it's hard for all of us. um to allow yourself to be more present in the moment and to look at time, as we started this conversation, and look at time as more of a precious commodity, not always about productivity, because
Right.
we are saying, productivity is important, but also giving yourself the grace of time to just, enjoy life too. I know everybody knows this quote, always take time to smell the flowers. It's been around forever, but it's such a powerful and true quote, you know.
Yeah. And I've always said take time to enjoy the journey. I've got a lot of friends who I've trained for running or clients for running and they're like, oh, and they're just so like but I think it was somebody else who had shared it with me. So I can't say that it was my brilliant idea. I think maybe the words were different. But I'm like, so now when I tell people, don't forget to enjoy the journey, I'm like, you're going to this race, you're going to a new state to do this race don't forget to look around and enjoy it because that's what you're going to remember, right? You're not going to remember like the steps in front of you. You're going to remember the journey, the people cheering you on, the sights, the views. Now, yes, you don't want to stop a lot and smell the flowers at that moment, but that's part of it. You have to because I'm a picture taker. So now when I run, I run for fun and I take pictures.
Oh, you're
But
saying so many things that I just want to have to just real quick.
yeah,
It makes me crack up because I had a friend who once were out there running or doing something, cycling or I don't know. And these runners were passing us by and they looked miserable.
because
I mean, if you hate, you just so serious about like just smile a little bit. It'll make you feel so much
yes,
better.
yes,
Just they looked so miserable in that moment. Now,
it is, right?
maybe they were because they just ran 15 miles.
Yes.
And
It's
and they were very focused. So I get that kind of intensity in terms of, training hard, but make sure you're doing it because you enjoy it and you love it,
right. Like, why did
really.
you do it to begin with,
Right.
right? You didn't do it
Yeah.
because you're like, yes, I want the pain of running. I want sore knees and a bad back. That's not why you did it. You did it to do a PR. You did it to say you ran a 5K. You did it to, say you did your Ironman. We did it because let me tell you, that was not easy. And I just shared that picture on my social media because I'm like, you know what? But my friend was like, how are you always smiling in your pictures? Because, you loop around and they see you. And I'm like, because that's part of it. Like, I
Yeah.
want to enjoy every great experience from that. So, because that's why I did it. I did it to accomplish something, but it was also to have fun with it and to learn from it and to, say that I did it. I don't
And it's so true. And my research just newly published, just on ProQuest. I haven't kind of reformatted it for a journal yet, but
know.
which is we probably a goal
Oh,
that we both need to set for ourselves. But I found a very strong theme, and we haven't had our episode where we were just really going to talk about our research studies, which I think it would be
yeah,
interesting
we'll do that soon.
for our listeners. But I found some the participants in my study were older triathletes, 65 and older. Some had just done their first triathlon within the last year, like at age 79.
Wow.
Some had been doing triathlon since the 1980s, 30 plus years. And I can tell you that well, there were three main themes, but one of the main themes, and I will bring this back to the gift of time, is focused on enjoyment and having fun and the social connections you're making and seeing your friends.
Right.
And so and they're living highly physically active lives with quality of life. They're crushing aging. They're having a good time. They're not,
Our
they're
role
doing it.
models.
They're doing well. A lot of these people are podium finishers and they're doing well, but they're doing it because they're enjoying it.
Right.
And so they figured out in these 60s, 70s, 80s, uh, that time is a precious commodity. And
Mhm.
that being a triathlete is how they want to spend that time. I'm not saying everybody needs to be a triathlete, but
Right.
for this group of people, it's an important way to spend that time. It's meaningful, it's enjoyable, and it's purposeful.
Absolutely, because if anybody's ever done any kind of race or, it involves a lot of training. And
Hmm.
especially as a triathlete, because you've got three events, you
Right.
train for. And some of those are very long. Like we've done halves. I've never done a full. So if you think about you're going out there, that's a mile point two swim, a 56-mile bike, a 13.1 mile run. That's a lot of time and effort. That's a lot of miles, 70, what, 70.3. So that's a lot. So if you break each one down, think about the training and the time. So yes, they value their time. They looked at their calendar and they
Yes.
prioritized what was right for them and what brought them purpose and
If
joy.
I do that, I'm saying come back to the
Oh, come
we
on.
are raw and real,
That's like, man,
unfiltered,
yes,
unplugged too.
I am trying. I've got this beautiful new microphone, but it's not even work. I can't get it to work. So, whatever.
Listen,
We'll
Marilyn,
figure
I
it
have
out.
visions of us sitting in a studio one day with
Yes. We're
professional
good.
equipment. Oh, we'll get there. We're doing great. But I agree with you. I think, training for goals, like getting a PhD, or not training, but achieving goals,
Right.
it's not all fun and games. And there are days you're not going to smile.
Right.
But if you're intentional in choosing those goals for yourself, then that's how you want to spend your time. And I think that's the key is that if our lives are so busy and we
Yeah.
don't have control over that we're doing things that we love to do, then maybe that's where you need a little bit of a mind shift. Just something to focus on. And that's really what today is what we're trying to talk about. Like, when you look at your health and wellness comprehensively.
Yeah. I like to, not that I like to compare myself to others, but I look at other successful people And I always think about The Rock and his story, Dwayne Johnson. So, like, he came from very poor family, and now look at him. And I'm always like, what is he doing with his time? I said, I bet you he's not sitting on the couch watching Grey's Anatomy, it's my little nighttime treat. He's out there and he's hustling and he's putting in those long hours. But I love it when he posts about his family. He lets his daughter put makeup on him. He celebrates the birthdays with them. So he prioritizes, you can definitely tell he's a man who prioritizes his time for his business and his family. And I think he's a pretty religious man. So he's probably putting God first, family second, career third. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I was always taught. But it's just, so that's kind of what I look at to give me guidance. Like, all right, if this is what you want, if you're trying to grow your business, follow other people who are already succeeding and see
Mm-hmm.
what they're doing with their time. Because I
I,
guarantee you they're still they're prioritizing it in a matter that they're still getting joy. So they're
I,
still,
I think that they work hard and they work hard and they work hard and it's intentional
yes,
and it's meaningful to them. I
yes,
think that that's where, we talked in a past episode about Maslow's hierarchy of needs
yes,
and getting to this point where I don't know if we ever fully get to self-actualization. I think it's more something that we strive towards.
right.
Because even when you get to a mountaintop, there's higher mountains. And so, even successful people, they figure out new ways to challenge themselves and a lot of times give back to other people and helping other people grow in their lives. So, yeah, listen, I also think beyond working hard and learning how to make your life more purposeful in the time that we have, and you've said this before, and I made a joke about it, but it was about practicing daily gratitude.
Yeah,
And I think that if you go into things and you're just grateful for whatever, wherever, whatever it is, wherever you are, that too changes your mindset,
absolutely.
you know?
You can't be thankful enough, and you can't
Right.
outthank a thankful person. You know?
Right. And a lot of these people have a lot of gratitude in their heart. They know what it took to
Yeah,
get there, and they know they didn't get there alone. They got there with people in their lives that helped them. So, yeah, I hope that our listeners, enjoy this conversation today. Um, I don't know. What else do you have to add to that? I have some more
leave them with
notes,
some
but
strategies. Some
yeah, definitely.
let's talk about some strategies that can help, because if maybe this is like time management is something that's completely new for you. I didn't really understand it until I was in the military and got a good dose of it real quick. So I think mindfulness, right? And we've mentioned
Right.
this
Yep.
before, slowing down, being where you are, or as a good friend used to say, this is actually Sarah mentioning this,
That's
stay
okay.
present
Let's
where your feet
recap.
are.
I think I integrated a lot of let's recap it though. I think it's important enough. Go
But
ahead.
I think, so Sarah had mentioned this earlier, or Dr. Gordon,
No,
that
no, it's okay. I'm
slowing
sorry.
down, well, yeah, I know. We have to get used to like saying it, don't say it.
It's all
Okay.
good.
But staying present where your feet are, because I think that's important for mindfulness. Okay. Then reflect on your values, the core principles of your life, right? Did you freeze or is I okay? It
No,
looks like
but
I
you
got
got to
like,
stay close to the microphone so we can hear you.
dang it.
I want we need to hear what you're saying. It's
I'm gonna
important.
eat the microphone. These are and these are your great notes. I'm just stealing them
Well,
from
no, you're
you.
not. We're a team. No way. Go for
So
it.
and then look at your calendar. So
Oh,
we need to
yeah.
start.
I think that we talked about it throughout the podcast, but I think it's a really great strategy, and had never heard about it. And I did some research for the today, and I saw that I thought, I'm going to do that myself because your
Yeah,
calendar really reflects. And I'm still old school. I have it all. I write. People say, "Why don't you just put it on your phone?" But I still write things down.
I
I'll
do
get
too.
there. But I think that's really, that tells you a lot about what's going on in your life. Um, Here's a strategy that we did not cover yet. Um, how to say no to protect what's important to you.
Ooh,
Sometimes, and we've talked about in the past, like when we were in school and our friends, so many times I had to say no, and it was, broke my heart because I wanted to have fun and go do these things, but it kept me on track. It helped me use the time that I had, to move forward in our goal of completing our doctorates.
right,
So I think learning to say no, it's not always comfortable, but it will help you, give you more of the gift of time. If you feel so
right.
bogged down with commitments and you really want to go take an hour to go for a swim or whatever, you might
But
have to
the
say
thing,
no to
don't,
something else.
right, and you're not, and I always, you're not being selfish when you do that because this is your life, your journey. So
Yes.
don't feel like you have to, do everything for everybody and be there. Sometimes it's okay, yeah, to say no.
Yeah.
100% believer in that.
Um, so you and I always love having these conversations with you. If we always say when we look back, like we could just talk for 2 hours. But I have this kind of to wrap up. It's like we talk every week, it's a mindset shift. So let's focus on how to move from busy to intentional.
Yes.
Reclaiming your day. We had an episode about that, how to control your day, not let your day control you to a certain degree. I mean, life just happens. But again, focus on how to move from busy to intentional. And that goes for your health, your physical activity, your nutrition, your relationships.
Yeah.
What else do you think I might be missing some?
Yeah, it's what, just think of whatever you're putting in is, going to reflect what you're putting out. So if
Yeah, I love
you
that.
junk in, a lot of junk coming out.
Wait, you got to come closer again. Say that again.
A lot of whatever you're putting in. So if you're putting junk in, you're going to get junk out. So you're not, if you're
Love
putting junk
that.
in, you're going to be less productive, less energy, less motivated. But if you're putting those quality items, the healthy nutrition, the staying physically active, your mental health, you're going to produce better work or become more productive. So it definitely, you got to think about what you're feeding your body, what you're feeding your soul, what you're feeding your mind.
I think that's outstanding. And it's a simple thing to remind ourselves what you're putting in
Yeah.
is what you're putting out. Is that how you said it?
With your
Okay.
input, it's going to reflect your output.
And I one of my brothers used to say, he wouldn't go watch like really violent, scary movies because he's like, I don't want to pollute my brain that way. Now, I'm not saying some people love those movies,
Right,
but
right.
I do think it's, like what you said, what you put in, well, be discerning on what you put into your mind, your spirit, and and you said one week about your mind. Go ahead.
Mind, body, and spirit, or mind, body, and soul.
I
I
can't
don't
remember. I have to go back to a past episode. I was like, that was brilliant.
Who knows? It's so fleeting with me.
No, it was like your mind something and your body follows, or I can't
Oh, my
remember.
mantra. Get your mind right and your body follows.
There it is. There it
Yeah.
is. Get your
Oh,
mind right and your body follows. And that how we have the big takeaway every week, and I think that let's add that to the gift of time, allowing yourself the gift of
yeah,
time within that mantra.
perfect.
All right. Well, so grateful for our listeners.
Yeah.
We've gotten some wonderful feedback. If you have ideas of things that you want us to talk about or ways for us to improve on this platform, we're always open to
Yeah,
that.
I don't know what was going on with but I'm glad you could hear it this time because usually
I
we can't hear that I get muffled. So,
Yeah,
uh,
we did grow. We did not freeze today.
yeah,
That's
getting better.
improvement. We're getting
Yay.
better. Next week, we're going to focus on how to navigate change
Mm,
and why being able to adapt to change is so important with a growth mindset. and also just for healthy living and healthy aging. Change is inevitable, and we all have to deal with it. So we're going to dive into that a bit next week.
Sounds perfect.
All right. Anything else you want to say before we sign off here today?
No, I just really want to mention that, just stay in the moment. Let's stay in the moment. That's going to be our big takeaway. Live in the moment, focus on the moment. The rest will come.
Yeah,
So,
it doesn't feel so overwhelming if you do that. So that's good advice for me too. So I appreciate that.
me too. Let's be real. Me too.
All right, everybody. Thank you for giving us this time, for your time,
Your
choosing
time.
to spend this time. We hope that you found it meaningful and impactful for your life.
Absolutely. Have
All
a
right.
great day. Bye, everybody.
Bye.